This is the story of Dr. Ethan Caldwell and Rachel Caldwell, and what happened on March 24th, 2025 in Yosemite National Park, when a birthday celebration turned into a fight for survival. The Caldwells were, by all outward appearances, a model American couple. Ethan, 38, was an anesthesiologist at Mercy General Hospital in Sacramento, a graduate of Stanford University School of Medicine, class of 2030. His colleagues described him as meticulous, quiet, dependable. Rachel, 35, was a fourth grade teacher at Roosevelt Elementary School and a proud alumna of UC Davis, where she earned her master's in education. Together they were raising two young children, Liam, 4, and Ava, 2, in what neighbors called the picture-perfect family. He seemed like the perfect husband, recalls neighbor Corinne Dorsey, who often saw Ethan mowing the lawn while Rachel played with the kids on the driveway. They looked happy. You'd never guess what was happening behind closed doors. The Caldwells had been married for 6 years. Their wedding held at St. John's Lutheran Church in downtown Sacramento on May 14, 2018. Ethan had no prior marriages. Rachel had been previously engaged but never married. Friends say Ethan's calm demeanor and intelligence drew her in immediately. He was charming, thoughtful, the kind of man who sent flowers for no reason, said her college roommate, Emily Rhodes. By late 2023, Ethan's career was thriving. His annual salary exceeded $350,000, and Rachel's reputation as a compassionate educator earned her multiple district awards. They'd recently remodeled their home, installing solar panels and a new Tesla in the driveway. The couple's Christmas cards, smiling family photos taken at Apple Hill Orchards, made them look like an advertisement for suburban success. But beginning in December 2024, subtle changes emerged. In her sworn testimony, Rachel told her therapist that Ethan had grown increasingly controlling. He began monitoring her text messages, demanding access to her social media accounts, and questioning every male coworker she mentioned. At first, Rachel believed it was stress. "He's just tired," she wrote in a journal later recovered by detectives. "I think he's afraid I'll leave him." The couple began attending marriage counseling at Capital Therapy Associates in January 2025. Ethan told her therapist he felt unappreciated, while Rachel said she felt unsafe in one chilling session note. The therapist recorded, "The patient expresses fear that the husband may become violent if the relationship ends." Friends noticed Rachel had stopped attending social gatherings. When a colleague invited her to a birthday brunch, she replied, "Ethan doesn't like when I go out without him." By February 2025, even her parents in Fresno noticed her distance. "She sounded anxious on the phone," said her mother, Linda Harrison. But she always said everything was fine. Everything wasn't fine. Behind the facade of love and success, something dark was taking root, a calculated obsession, hidden beneath the surface of normalcy. As her 35th birthday approached in March 2025, Ethan suggested a romantic weekend getaway. Rachel thought it was an olive branch, a chance to rebuild their marriage. She had no idea he was planning her murder. March 23, 2025. 7:15 a.m., Rachel Caldwell packed an overnight bag in their East Sacramento home. It was her 35th birthday weekend, and Ethan had surprised her with plans for a romantic getaway to Yosemite National Park, a 4-hour drive from the city. He said he booked a lodge near Glacier Point, Rachel later testified. He said he wanted to start fresh. The couple left Sacramento just after 8 a.m., their gray Tesla Model Y gliding along Highway 99 before turning east toward Highway 41. Traffic cameras later confirmed their route through Oakhurst, stopping for gas and coffee at a Chevron on South Shields Avenue in Fresno. The kids stayed behind with Rachel's sister, Megan Harrison, who agreed to watch Liam and Ava for 2 nights. "Rachel texted me a selfie," Megan said. She looked tired but hopeful. She wrote, "Wish me luck, maybe this weekend fixes things." They checked into the Tenaya Lodge at Yosemite around 12:40 p.m., security footage shows. Ethan carrying 2 backpacks and a small black fanny pack. The same one later entered into evidence. To staff, they looked like any other couple beginning a birthday weekend. That evening, they ate dinner at the Jackalopes Bar and Grill. Witnesses recall Ethan ordering a single glass of Cabernet. Rachel sipped water. The conversation appeared polite, even warm, but text drafts recovered from Rachel's phone revealed she had typed, but never sent. He's acting strange. Keep talking about adventure tomorrow. March 24th, 2025 to 9:10 a.m. The next morning, Ethan suggested they hike Taft Point, a lookout famous for its sheer drop of more than 1,000 feet above Yosemite Valley. It'll be perfect for photos, he told her. You'll love the view. Rangers would later note that sections of the trail were still slick from recent rain, and warning signs near the edge read, "Danger, sheer cliff. Stay back from edge." Rachel hesitated. In her deposition, she recalled telling Ethan, maybe we should do an easier trail. But he insisted, "Come on, Rach, it's your birthday." The hike took them along a narrow granite ridge dotted with pine and wildflowers. Birds circled far below. Rachel's Fitbit data showed her heart rate climbing past 120 BPM as elevation increased. Something felt wrong, she later wrote. He was quiet the whole time, smiling, but not the good kind of smile. Around 10:15 a.m., they reached the overlook. The view was breathtaking, half-dome glinting in sunlight, a light wind carrying the sound of rushing water from Bridal Veil Fall. Ethan pulled out his phone. "Let's get a selfie," he said. "I feel dizzy. Can we step back a little?" "Just one photo," he replied. Placing a hand on her shoulder, he positioned her with her back to the abyss. She complied, nervous but wanting to keep the peace. He framed the shot. "Step closer, stop right here." This moment, the photo, the positioning, the insistence, would later be dissected frame by prosecutors. It wasn't spontaneous. It was calculated at 10:27 a.m. The last image captured on Ethan's phone showed Rachel smiling faintly, wind in her hair, 1 foot near the cliff's edge. She had no idea, the narrator intones, that within minutes, that smile would vanish and the fight for her life would begin. March 24th, 2025, 10:31 a.m. Taft Point, Yosemite National Park, the air was crisp, the wind slicing through the granite ridge. Rachel Caldwell stood with her back to the 1,000-foot drop, smiling nervously as her husband raised his phone. Moments later, her life descended into chaos. Rachel's sworn statement describes what happened next. "He suddenly grabbed me by both upper arms and started pushing me backward toward the edge. He said, 'Get back over there. I'm so sick of you, Rachel.' At first, she thought he was joking. But the pressure on her shoulders grew harder, the tone colder. 'Ethan, stop. What are you doing?' She screamed. Her feet slipped on damp granite. Instinctively, she dropped to her knees, clawing at the rock. I remember thinking, this can't be real. He's really trying to kill me. She threw herself flat, twisting to the side. The push missed. Ethan cursed, grabbed her jacket, and tried again. Rachel kicked backward, her hiking boot striking his shin. The struggle scraped her palms raw. Her Fitbit registered a heart rate, spiked to 164 BPM at 10:33 a.m. when she managed to crawl several feet from the edge. Ethan turned, reached into his fanny pack, and pulled out a small capped syringe. He was holding it like a knife, Rachel recalled. He said, "Stop fighting. It'll be over soon." Forensic analysis later confirmed the syringe contained residue consistent with midazolam, a potent sedative commonly used in surgical anesthesia. A typical therapeutic dose is 2 to 5 milligrams. The syringe contained approximately 30 milligrams, enough to cause respiratory depression and death in an unmonitored setting. As an anesthesiologist, Ethan Caldwell had access and knowledge of lethal dosage. Rachel fought harder, screaming, "Help me! Somebody, please." She grabbed a loose rock and hurled it weakly at him. Ethan lunged, tried to inject her, but she knocked the syringe away. It skittered across the granite and fell into a crevice. Then came the third attempt. He picked up a jagged rock about the size of a softball, she told detectives. He hit me with it, over and over, while holding my hair. Medical photographs entered into evidence later showed 10 distinct blunt force wounds to her head and face, a fractured left thumb, and severe lacerations. Rachel lost consciousness twice. I thought I was dying, she said. I could taste blood. Everything was ringing. 10:37 a.m., two women hiking from the nearby overlook heard faint cries. Help. Help me, we heard it echoing, said witness Samantha Lee in a deposition. Then we saw a man on top of a woman, hitting her. They shouted, "We're calling 911," and began filming on a phone. Ethan froze, looked up, and bolted toward the tree line. The hikers rushed to Rachel's side. She was bleeding heavily, disoriented but alive. One wrapped her head in a hiking jacket, while the other dialed Yosemite dispatch. 3 methods: a push, a poison, and a rock. When one failed, he tried another. This was not rage. It was strategy. By 10:45 a.m., park rangers and medics were en route. Rachel drifted in and out of consciousness as rescuers carried her down the trail on a stretcher toward a waiting medical evacuation helicopter. He's still out there, she whispered to a ranger. Please don't let him find me. As the helicopter lifted off toward Community Regional Medical Center in Fresno, her attacker vanished into Yosemite's vast wilderness. But Ethan Caldwell wasn't finished. Hiding among the pines, covered in his wife's blood, he made one phone call, one that would change everything. March 24th, 2025, 11:05 a.m. Yosemite National Park helicopter blades thundered above the granite cliffs as search teams fanned out. Park rangers, deputies, and federal agents began a coordinated manhunt across 7 square miles of rugged wilderness. He knows this terrain, said Ranger Daniel Holt in body cam footage later released by investigators. If he's got supplies and medical knowledge, he could last days out here. Ethan Caldwell, once a respected anesthesiologist from Sacramento, was now the most wanted man in California. His wife was clinging to life in a Fresno hospital, her skull fractured in 3 places. Her attacker had melted into the forest like a shadow dot at 11:27 a.m. Dispatchers triangulated a cell ping from Ethan's phone a half-mile north of Taft Point. When units arrived, they found his gray Subaru Outback, doors unlocked, engine cold. Inside were surgical gloves, a blood-stained jacket, and a GoPro mounted on the dashboard. The memory card was missing. That missing GoPro was a chilling clue. It wasn't just evidence, it was intent. He planned to record something? Evidence logs revealed Ethan had transferred $74,000 from a joint savings account 3 days earlier. Bank footage showed him withdrawing the cash in small increments from different ATMs across Fresno County. He'd also purchased a 9mm handgun 2 months before the trip registered, but missing. 12:42 p.m. a hiker near Glacier. Point Road reported seeing a man with blood on his clothes moving through the brush. He had a backpack and something metallic in his hand, said witness Caleb Ortiz. He looked straight at me and ran. Within minutes, the park was in partial lockdown. Drones scanned the tree line. K9 units picked up a faint scent trail leading toward Bridalveil Creek, but lost it near the water. Investigators suspected he'd waded through the stream to erase his tracks. As darkness fell, temperatures dropped to the low 40s. Search teams continued through the night, combing the cliffs by flashlight. Meanwhile, at 2:08 a.m., Ethan's sister received a voicemail. "You'll understand soon," his voice said, calm and deliberate. "She ruined everything. I just wanted peace." Detectives traced the call to a cell tower near Wawona Road, 19 miles from the scene. Agents converged, but by the time they arrived, there was nothing, just a campfire smoldering beside a granite outcrop. Nearby, they found a burned wallet, charred photos, and fragments of medical tubing. By March 25th, over 60 personnel. 3 helicopters and 2 bloodhounds were dedicated to the search. News outlets dubbed him the Yosemite fugitive. But the biggest break came 36 hours later when a trail camera, set by wildlife researchers near Dewey Point, captured a blurry image. A man with a headlamp moving fast, carrying what appeared to be a handgun. For investigators, it confirmed one thing: Ethan Caldwell was still alive. But what they didn't know was that he was already watching them. March 26, 2025 to 6:12, Yosemite National Park up morning. Mist drifted through the valley as park rangers reviewed the night's footage from motion-triggered cameras. One frame froze everyone in place. A man, alone, headlamp beam cutting through the dark, a pistol glinting in his hand. "That's him," said Detective Carla Mendez, pointing to the screen. "He's still moving south. He's running out of ground." By sunrise, search teams converged on the Dewey Point Ridge, a maze of dense pine and fractured rock. The manhunt entered its third day. Drones hummed overhead. Rangers moved quietly, rifles slung, scanning every shadow dot at 7:44 a.m. Canine handler Ranger Holt reported a strong scent near an abandoned fire ring. Beneath a half-burned tarp, they found a small black duffel bag. Inside, $18,000 in cash, part of the missing withdrawal. 2 vials of midazolam GoPro memory card wrapped in duct tape. That bag was a confession without words. His escape plan. His tools and his evidence all in one place. When investigators loaded the GoPro card, what they saw chilled them. Ethan had filmed short clips from his phone and camera days before the attack. In one recorded in their Yosemite cabin, he said, "People see smiles, vacations, success, but they don't see what's behind it. I'm done pretending." In another time-stamped March 23rd, 10:14 p.m., he filmed Rachel sleeping and whispered, "Tomorrow." She finally stopped hurting me. By 11:09 a.m., as agents fanned through the ridge, one team spotted movement near a rock ledge about 2 miles west. Sheriff's office. "Don't move." Someone shouted. Ethan bolted, firing 2 rounds into the air. Rangers dove for cover as he vanished behind a boulder line. A 30-minute standoff began. No return fire, just silence and echoing wind. 11:42 a.m., a single shot cracked through the forest. When officers advanced, they found Ethan Caldwell slumped against a pine tree, a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. The pistol lay beside him, half buried in dirt. In his pocket, a torn letter addressed simply, "To whoever finds me, I couldn't let her win." Forensic teams processed the area for 6 hours. DNA matched the blood on his jacket to Rachel. No other suspects were found out at 6:37 p.m. Authorities announced to the press, "The search for Dr. Ethan Caldwell has ended." His death appears to be a suicide. Meanwhile, in Fresno, Rachel Caldwell regained consciousness for the first time. Her jaw was wired shut, her vision blurred. But when detectives asked if she remembered what happened, she nodded once and whispered through swollen lips. He tried 3 times and still couldn't finish it. The footage, the note, and the attack formed a chilling mosaic, one of obsession. Control and survival against impossible odds. But Rachel's recovery would reveal something investigators missed, and a hidden truth buried deep inside that missing GoPro's final seconds. April 2nd, 2025, Community Regional Medical Center. Fresno. A week had passed since the manhunt ended. The hospital room was silent except for the slow rhythm of monitors. Rachel Caldwell lay pale but alive, the sole survivor of the Taft Point attack. Detective Carla Mendez entered carrying an evidence envelope. Inside was the second memory card, the one found under Ethan's burned campsite. It had taken digital forensics 5 days to decrypt the corrupted files. What it contained would rewrite everything investigators thought they knew. Every case leaves one unanswered question. In this one, it was simple. Why record your own crime? The first recovered clip showed Ethan alone in the woods, eyes bloodshot, whispering into the camera, "They'll think I'm a monster." But you have to see what she did. He turned the lens toward a small notebook, Rachel's handwriting. "Dear Ethan, I The pages revealed months of arguments, credit transfers, and an upcoming insurance policy in Ethan's name worth $1.2 million. She forged it, he said. She was going to disappear and leave me blamed for fraud. But the next video, time-stamped March 24th, 10:18 a.m., moments before the attack, told a different story. The footage showed Rachel at the cliff edge smiling for a photo. Ethan's hand entered the frame, gripping her shoulder. Then the image jolted, the camera spinning to the ground. Rachel's scream followed. Please. The audio continued for 46 more seconds. Sounds of struggle, gasping. Then a single word whispered by Ethan. You deserve this. At 9:30 a.m. Detectives showed the recovered footage to Rachel. She watched in silence, tears streaking the tape that held her bandages. When the clip ended, she whispered, "He wanted to control the story, even after I survived it." 3 weeks later, prosecutors closed the case. The official report labeled Ethan Caldwell's death a murder. Suicide attempt, motivated by jealousy, financial stress, and delusion. The alleged insurance forgery proved false. The policy was legitimate, co-signed by both. His accusations were a projection of guilt, not evidence. On May 10, 2025, Rachel released a short statement from her recovery center. Yosemite took his body, not his shadow. But I'm still here. And I'm not afraid to be seen. She underwent 3 reconstructive surgeries over the following months. Physical therapy helped her regain full mobility in her left hand. The emotional scars ran deeper, nightmares, anxiety, hypervigilance, but Rachel refused to let them define her by August 2025. Rachel had moved to a new city with her children, who were receiving counseling to process the trauma of losing their father and nearly losing their mother. She returned to teaching part-time, finding solace in the routine of the classroom and the innocent questions of 4th graders, who saw her only as Mrs. Caldwell. Their kind teacher, she later founded a nonprofit called the Taft Point Foundation, dedicated to victims of domestic abuse hiding behind the illusion of perfect marriages. The organization provides resources, safe housing, and legal support for survivors. Rachel speaks at conferences, sharing her story to help others recognize the warning signs she once ignored. In the end, the cliff didn't claim her. Control did. Rachel Caldwell became both survivor and witness, proof that even the darkest stories can end in light. She carries the scars of Taft Point, but she also carries something stronger, the unshakable knowledge that she survived what was meant to destroy her. And in that survival, she found her voice. The end